So tonight we have new details about the violent attack on Speaker Nancy Pelosi's 82-year-old husband, Paul, in their San Francisco home. An intruder attacked him with a hammer. Sources say the suspect was shouting, "Where's Nancy?" And when police arrived, he told them he was, quote, waiting for Nancy. An angry President Joe Biden called the attack despicable.
Enough is enough is enough. Every person of good conscience needs to clearly and unambiguously stand up against the violence in our politics, regardless of what your politics are.
Now, this part will not shock you. The alleged attacker posted conspiracy theories on Facebook, including links to multiple videos from the Trump ally and pillow salesman, Mike Lindell, saying insane things about the 2020 election. So not only are our elected officials in danger days before the midterms, so are their families. Federal officials are warning that domestic violent extremists pose a heightened threat to the midterms and beyond. Let's bring in our CNN law enforcement analyst, Jonathan Wackrow, and CNN national security analyst, Juliette Kayyem. Great to have you guys in the studio. So they just had a press conference about this, the San Francisco Police Department, moments ago. So here's what the chief said based on their latest information. Let's listen.
We also know, based on our investigation at this point, that this was not a random act. This was intentional. And it's wrong. Our elected officials are here to do the business of their cities, their counties, their states, and this nation. Their families don't sign up for this to be harmed, and it is wrong. And everybody should be disgusted about what happened this morning.
Juliette, we feared that things like this would happen. They don't have a motive yet. There's still early days, obviously, but it sure looks and feels like political violence.
Where's Nancy is kind of your clue there, right? I mean, she is the second in line for the presidency, and he was looking for her. So we're talking about this as an attack on Paul Pelosi. It essentially was an attack on Nancy Pelosi. And in that, if you think of it in those terms, it would be hard to deny that this is a political attack. And so what we're finding on social media is confirming a narrative about someone who got radicalized through the fake election and the January 6th and all the stuff, that things were taken away from him. He may have mental health issues, whatever it is.
It sounds like it. I mean, he does sound like he has a long history of being unhinged from neighbors and friends.
Right. And so, but lots of people have mental health issues, but most do not do this. And so what was that? Who or what noise was leading him there? And I think that's going to be very interesting. And then who else is picking up on that? I think the threat level for other federal officials is just, it's got to remain high, and there has to be vigilance for them and protection for them, at least until after the election.
And that leads us to their families, Jonathan. I was surprised to learn today that our top leaders' families don't get protection.
It's stunning. It's stunning. To Juliette's point, this is the number 2 person in line of presidential succession. The fact that their house was broken into, that there was no residential security, the fact that the husband was attacked physically, violently, is in the hospital. This is unacceptable, full stop. This is not a new threat environment that we're living in right now, right? This has been around for a long time, and we're hearing warning after warning, but we're not taking the right action. We're not applying the right control measures.
What should we be doing?
We need to be, focusing on protecting these political leaders, right? So rank and file members of congressional leadership, the same way that the Secret Service does. We need to protect them.
Well, she has protection in Washington, D.C., but are you saying that all of their families should, at this point in this climate, because it's gotten so bad, also have protection? Because obviously that costs a lot of money, et cetera, et cetera.
But it costs a lot of money. Let's put the money aside, right? We'll figure out the government spends money on a lot of things. Let's not think about how do we pay for protection. Let's apply it when it's necessary. And guess what? When you are in line for the office of the presidency in the United States, you need 24-hour protection on your home. You need protection of your spouse, your family, everybody that could impact. Because here's why. Today, family members are soft targets. They're the path of least resistance for an attacker. We know that. We've seen that time and time again. And there's a material impact that will occur in Speaker Pelosi's ability to lead right now, because now she's removed from the game. 2 weeks out, we're concentrating on an attack of her husband, not on the midterm cycle, et cetera. So protection has a purpose, and we need to apply it correctly to the threat environment that Juliet has been talking about for years.
Yeah.
We all have been.
Juliet, no surprise what you find on this guy's social
yeah.
media stuff. I mean, it's just textbook.
It is.
And so I mean, I'll just put up some stuff. So Mike Lindell, who's the pillow salesman and just famous conspiracy theorist. This guy was, tweeting videos produced by him, and then, all of this just conspiracy nonsense about January 6th. And so we've seen it time and again, Juliet, there's a connection.
Yeah.
But why can't we figure out the connection before the violence happens?
Well, because there's a nurturing of this kind of violence coming from leadership of the GOP. I mean, the person who is likely to get the nomination, Donald Trump, uses the language of fighting. I mean, he targets people. We don't have to be shy about it. We don't have to do both sides. Like, let's just be clear here. There is violence that is directed and nurtured by the leader of that party. And then the problem is it is either denied, accepted, or also embraced by other members. And what is important to remember is the well, let's just move on attitude that you hear from many people, like, oh, that's just Trump, whatever, especially members of his party. That actually is helpful to the radicalization, because it's the silence, it's the lack of shaming of what is going on and what is happening to that party.
But would the
that brings
shaming,
it. Yes,
would the shaming
yes.
cut down on the political violence?
Imagine if McConnell had stuck to his this is unacceptable right after January 6th. Imagine that world in which the party shunned the violence. It'd be a totally different world. And yes, there's going to be outliers. There's going to be people that are still violent, but they're not going to be supported by an apparatus that gives them legitimacy.
Well,
and
I mean, today
that's where we are.
There are Republicans who are tweeting about this. Okay,
Yeah.
so Vice President Pence says, quote, "This is an outrage, and our hearts are with the entire Pelosi family. We pray Paul will make a full recovery. There can be no tolerance for violence against public officials or their families. This man should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law." Is a tweet enough?
Well, it helps. I mean, well, let me just say the opposite would be worse. And I think, but what we have to remember is one tweet does not mute what has been going on to Nancy Pelosi and towards Nancy Pelosi in the world that I follow, which is the radicalization world. She, more than Biden, has become the focal point. You could call it gender. You could, maybe they're targeting her, but it is her. And it is at the rallies, at the Trump rallies, on social media, on Truth Social. It is Nancy Pelosi who's been the target. So where's Nancy? Yeah. It's a direct line from January 6th.
Oh,
That's the
absolutely.
line they were saying
absolutely.
at January 6th.
They were chanting that.
Yeah.
They were chanting that. They were looking for her.
I just want to follow up on one thing. This behavior has been normalized, right? And that's really, really dangerous.
Meaning political violence or just political rhetoric?
Rhetoric that leads into violence, right? It's a flash and a bang, right? So it's that rhetoric first that we see metastasizing, and everyone just accepts it. They allow it. We've seen it online. It just has fueled for years and years, and now it quickly leads into physical violence. And we've seen it affect politicians. We've seen it affect our societies. We think about how people have been radicalized that are going into schools and synagogues and churches and killing everybody. And we have to do better. We have to do better. We have to take a different approach to, one, suppressing that type of ideology, that type of thinking. And we have to take a stronger stand against domestic violent extremism, hate, everything that encompasses it, because this is the consequence. Right now, we're seeing it.